Welcome back to Something in the Wilderness. This is Steve.
And Marcy's here too.
And we both recently went to the Hello Gone Days tour shows in Ohio. We attended both the Columbus and the Cincinnati shows. And we wanted to tell you all about our experience and what we thought and what to look out for if you're going to the shows. So let's talk about what expectations we had, Marcy. So what were you hoping to see at this concert?
I was really excited to see Andrew McMahon, of course. I did not have high expectations for the other bands. Honestly. I mean, I'm just being honest.
Yeah, that's fine. I knew Armor for Sleep a little bit. I had one of their albums in the early 2000s. So I knew one of their songs from that album at least. So I kind of knew a song to listen for. And they had a recent single released, and I knew about that one. And I really liked that too. So I didn't know too much of their stuff. With Dashboard, I wouldn't say I had high expectations. I mean, I got more excited after our Hands Down episode back in the spring. If you haven't listened to that, I'd recommend going back and listening to Charlie and Stephanie, guest on the show. They're really big Dashboard fans, and they told me all about what to expect, and we talked Setlist and all that, and what they said was actually really accurate. So I didn't go in with really high expectations. I've seen Dashboard a couple of times, but I am a fan, so I was looking forward to that aspect as well. I don't think I've ever seen Andrew McMahon with another artist that I really, really liked, and so I was excited that it was a co-headlining show with an artist that I pretty much knew most of the music of.
I did not feel the same.
Yeah, well, you're not a Dashboard fan, so that's
Right.
all right.
I tried, though. I tried to listen to some before.
Well, you did sit through both sets in Cincinnati and in Columbus, so
Literally sat.
I appreciate that.
But I was there. I participated.
Let's talk about a little bit about the band, because they had Morgan on violin and keyboards, and they changed it up just a little bit this time. So Zach was back for the keyboards, which was cool.
Zach was back.
Yeah, Zach is back.
It kind of reminds me of
Zach Morris?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Zach Clark came back on the scene. He'd taken a break from the band the last couple years, do his solo thing, which he's still doing. Morgan was no longer in the fold. She's touring with an artist named Ash, I think.
She was on one tour, and then I think she switched recently to a different tour.
Oh, okay. So she's still doing her thing, playing violin and other instruments and backup vocals and whatnot, but just not with the Wilderness. That set a little bit of a different expectation, because you knew there probably wasn't going to be something wild, and of course there was no violin in the band.
And no backup on Ohio. You listen to our Ohio episode if you want to know why.
Gonna get it right. I love that part anyway. That bothers Marcy.
Sorry, sidetrack.
Yep. Speaking of expectations, though, I try to stay away from, as I always do when I'm going to concerts, almost always, I try to stay away from Setlist spoilers. So I try to avoid looking at Setlist FM, looking at any chatter online about what's going to be in the Setlist. What about you? Did you look at the Setlist ahead of time?
Oh, I totally did that. I pulled up on Spotify the tour so I could listen to the exact set list.
You were prepared.
Right. We're going to a concert this Thursday, and I've pulled up the exact set list to listen to.
Perfect. I'm a very different concert goer.
Right.
I don't like to know what they're going to play. Well, it's different. If it's an artist that I don't know all the music of, like when we went to see Maren Morris back in June, I did want to study up, and I wanted to know what songs she'd play so that I knew which songs to be prepared for. But in the case of Andrew McMahon in the Wilderness and Dashboard Confessional, I know every single one of their songs. Therefore, whatever they played, I was going to be either pleased with, or at least I was going to know. So that's why I don't like to look at set list of bands that I really like, or know all the music of, I should say.
I think it makes me more excited for the concert when I know what songs are going to play.
And I like surprises.
There was one surprise, though, that was not on the sets list, so...
Yeah, to me there was a few surprises, but again, I didn't look at the set list. But what did happen was, and I should probably say that right here, if you are planning on going to one of the shows in the Hello Gone Days tour that are remaining in the next couple of weeks, and you don't want to know about the set list, then you should stop listening now and come back after you've seen your show, because we are going to talk about the entire set list, talk about the surprises that happened during the set list, and I don't want to ruin that for anybody, because, again, I don't like to have it ruined for me. Ironically, as much as I was trying to avoid setlist spoilers, I found out the two biggest surprises from Andrew himself. He posted on Camp Wilderness, "Hey guys, we're going to play two songs we don't normally play." And he said it. He said, "We're going to play Hurricane," which they never play because it's Josh Partington's song from Something Corporate. and we're going to play Constantine because they only usually play that on 11/11. So I was a little disappointed to read that, but I guess it did, kind of like you, it fueled my excitement a little bit. I did get to see Constantine last fall, in kind of a regular concert environment. I haven't, I guess. And then Hurricane, I definitely hadn't seen since the Something Corporate days, so I was pretty excited about those.
I can't believe, as I guess I would consider myself a newer fan that didn't come in until Jack's Mannequin and really didn't know Constantine at all until a year ago, that now I've seen it live 3 times.
Yeah,
Which I
that's
feel
true.
like is more than probably a lot of fans have seen it that have been fans since it originally came out.
Yeah. No, I feel similarly, though. I mean, I've been a fan for a long time, and I've known about Constantine for 20 years. But it is interesting that we've now seen it 3 times in the past year. I mean, I guess I feel fortunate for that. But yeah, we'll talk more about that, what we liked in the set list and whatnot. Other expectations regarding the set list, you kind of know what to expect. You know he's going to play certain songs. I don't think there's a show that goes by. We were kind of thinking about this a little while back. What are the songs that he always plays no matter what?
Fire Escape,
Yep.
Cecilia.
Mm-hmm.
There's one I felt like he always played that he didn't play, which surprised me.
Which one?
La La Lie.
Oh, yeah, he does almost always play La La La. I Woke Up in a Car.
Oh, yeah.
He always plays. And he said that. I was watching actually a concert on YouTube earlier today, and he actually said that. He said, I probably will never play a show without playing this song. And I've heard him say that about Dark Blue as well.
Yeah, that's the other one.
Yeah, so I've heard him say that about both Dark Blue now and about I Woke Up in a Car. And that they're, he's also mentioned them as his top song, his favorite songs that he's ever written. So
yeah, I also feel like Synesthesia is becoming one of those he plays at every concert. I think he's played.
I forgot about that one. So that's 5, right?
Yeah.
So Fire Escape, Cecilia, Synesthesia, I Woke Up in a Car, and Dark Blue.
Which I wouldn't have thought Synesthesia originally when I first heard it, but it's very different live. And I think he played it twice on the Rock Boat. He played it at both of these concerts. I mean, he closed with it, right?
Yeah, which is usually reserved for a big hit or a sing-along song, which, I guess it is among the fan base. I guess it is a hit, so. I was anticipating, what he would play, but I'm always hoping for some deep cuts in there. And, of course, the fan favorites are my personal favorites and that sort of thing. We also got to meet up with some members of the We Are the Pop Underground Facebook fan group. So if you're not a member, you might think about joining if you're an Andrew McMahon fan.
I finally joined.
Yeah, so we finally got Marcy in the group after she met about 8 people from the group over the weekend. So
I think there's more than that. There was 8 people at our table after the Cincinnati concert.
That's
alone.
true. Yeah, there was. Yeah, so there was quite a.
I guess there was 6 plus us, but then there was a whole nother table.
Yeah, there was quite a representation of We Are the Pop Underground group members at the Cincinnati show for sure. So we got to see a few of them beforehand. A lot of them were going to VIP. Then they were waiting in line, and we decided to go get some food. We had seats for the Cincinnati show, so there was no reason for us to try to get in early.
And the Columbus show, we had seats,
Yeah,
too.
we had seats actually for both, so there's no reason to get in line and try to get someplace early. But ironically, we did end up going to the main floor, which we didn't know we were doing. We didn't think we'd be allowed down there, and we got to be about 5 or 6 people back from the barricade, so it wasn't bad at all. And I feel like we walked in right before the opening act went on.
Yeah, pretty close.
We did stay down there for the opening act, and then Andrew McMahon went on second in Cincinnati. But then we did sit up top for Dashboard Confessional in Cincinnati, which I was perfectly okay with. Even though I like Dashboard Confessional a lot, I feel like they're more of I can sit down for this band. I wouldn't mind standing, but I felt like I could sit down for it.
Well, we had a good view, though, too. I mean, the seats were nice view and everything, and plus we weren't in the middle of the medical emergency as well that happened during Dashboard Confessional, which was right where we were standing.
It was almost exactly where we were standing. In fact, the woman who passed out looked familiar. I think she was standing by us when we were down on the main floor. I'm glad she was okay. They got her out of the crowd. It was pretty interesting, though. Nowadays, things are different than when we first started going to concerts 20, 25 years ago. The band is going to stop the show if they can, immediately, if they know something's going on. Chris Carrabba stopped the show. I think some people flagged him down.
Yeah, but he shut it down, right now.
Instantly.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive.
Yeah, they were mid-song. We had to wait a few minutes just to make sure that she was okay, and medics got her out of the crowd. But I'm glad that he was able to do that, and they were able to clear a path for her to get out safely. But that was just different to see. I don't remember seeing that 25 years ago at concerts.
Yeah. I think there's more of just an awareness.
Armor for Sleep opened, as we mentioned, and I didn't know what to expect. Like I said, I knew maybe 2 of their songs, but I liked their sound.
Well, there's also something unique that happened with them, too, though. Their audio on their microphones wasn't working for the entire first song.
Yeah.
So even though
they played through the whole thing,
They played through the whole thing. They had this total energy, and I think it was halfway through the second song before the mics started.
Yeah, and then everybody cheered when the microphone finally came on during the second song. I felt really bad for them because I know, probably especially as an opening act, it's like they're just at the liberty of the venue, of the sound, of the equipment that could have been faulty. Who knows? So they just kept going. They know they have a limited amount of time to make an impression on thousands of people in front of them, so they're not going to stop. So they just went ahead through it, but it definitely got better, obviously, once the vocals were working. And we could hear him singing. I really enjoyed, especially obviously, I enjoyed the 2 songs that I knew by them. And it did make me want to check out more. And actually, Armor for Sleep has recently released a second single, so I assume an album's coming soon. And I like that one a lot too. So I think I'm going to like the new stuff possibly better than I liked the old stuff. But to be honest, I really never dug into their earlier work. Again, it was kind of neat to see a band that I hadn't ever seen before, and I actually knew some of their songs. That doesn't always happen for a band I'm going to see. I rarely go to a concert and see 3 bands that I already knew.
True. I don't have that usually.
So I also want to mention the merch table because we walked over there off of the main floor in Cincinnati, and I was wearing my McMahon Carrabba 22 shirt that is sold benefiting the Dear Jack Foundation by In the Shadow of the Moon on Instagram, In the Shadow of the Moon. A lot of people seem to like this shirt, so it got a lot of attention.
Wait, didn't Zach Clark comment on your shirt too?
Yeah, I was getting there.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
But first, Andrew's merch guy took a picture of it. So, and I had actually forgotten by the end of the night that happened because when we went to the Columbus show, Andrew's tour manager stopped me and he said, "Were you at the Cincinnati show?" And I didn't think about the shirt I was wearing, and I was wearing it again, and I didn't think about it. And
he did wash it.
And I said, "Why?" And he said, "I said, yeah, why?" And he said, "Oh, because your shirt. What did he say? Something like
your shirt's been making it around our group message,
our group message, or something like that." So they must have been texting it around to each other, which I thought was really awesome. And he's like, "I'm glad." He was like, "I'm glad we got president." And I should have left it at that, but I was like, well, she made a Carrabba for president one too, but I should have probably just let him have that one, But
right.
So the guy working merch for Andrew, and then the tour manager, I know they really liked it, and I guess other people maybe in the camp were talking about it over the weekend. So, but yeah, like you said, Zach Clark complimented me on it twice actually that night. The first time was out by the merch table, and he's like, "Man, I love that shirt." And we checked out the T-shirts and the hats and
no ball caps though.
Yeah,
they couldn't agree on a design, I guess.
We actually looked for a cap for me, and I don't wear too many hats, but I only have one that I really wear regularly, and it's okay. So I wouldn't have minded having a backup one or another one that I liked better actually. And they didn't have any. The merch guy said, "Yeah, we just couldn't agree on a design, so we just went with bucket hats instead," which I found to be an odd response. It's like, why didn't they put the logo on a cap?
I don't know. I can't get on board with bucket hats, so I don't know.
Yeah, but we checked out the dashboard shirts, or I checked out the dashboard shirts as well. And actually, I liked some of their designs too. I really liked the Andrew shirt that had the piano in the mountains in the woods, because it looks a lot like the logo for this podcast.
Sure does.
Yep. I mean, obviously it's different artwork, but it's the same theme, a piano out in the wilderness.
Right. And it was on a purplish maroon shirt. It was hard to tell. Like in some light it was purple, some it was maroon.
And that's the main reason I didn't get that shirt. So I eventually ended up with a shirt, but I didn't buy that one because it was kind of purplish maroonish. It didn't really, I have no problem wearing any different colors of shirts, but I just didn't see myself in that color. So I didn't end up getting that one, but I did like it. And I kind of wanted, if I was going to get a shirt, I also kind of wanted something about the tour or about this era specifically of Andrew or something like that. I did offer to buy Marcy the dark blue shirt because she's a big dark blue fan, and she didn't like the design.
I said no.
So I tried.
It had Andrew McMahon really tiny at the bottom, and I just wasn't feeling it. Our kids got you a shirt for your birthday.
It was a big surprise.
The kids were so excited.
Yeah.
They were so proud of me.
And I was very surprised
that
I got this shirt. So if you've seen the t-shirt of the Hello Gone Days logo where it says both band names on the front and then it has all the tour dates on the back. I haven't gotten a shirt like that in a long time that has the tour dates on it and the tour name and all that. So I thought it was kind of a cool almost throwback, like the whole concert theme was, nostalgia tour.
I mean, and it had Ohio on it 3 times.
Yeah.
Which, how often does a band visit Ohio 3 times?
I know. I've always found it cool. Since I was a kid and I started going to concerts, I always found it cool that the place I actually went was listed on the shirt.
Oh, my gosh.
All right, so we talked a little bit about Cincinnati. We're going to kind of bounce around now. In Columbus, our setup was a little bit different.
Outside in the heat.
It was very hot.
But we had VIP area, so...
Yeah, somehow I didn't know that's what we bought. I mean, I know the tickets were more expensive. I knew that much.
Well, we bought seats there, and there's not a lot of actual seats.
But the way Kemba Live in Columbus is laid out, formerly known as the LC Pavilion, formerly known as Express Live, and probably other things too, there's what I would consider the, quote, main floor, so basically a cement slab that you can stand on and look up at the band like most venues. Then there's a kind of a level up, and it has tables that organizations and companies own. And if you are affiliated with those organizations or companies, you could sit there. Then right behind those tables, there's seating, and that's the seats that we bought. So we bought some chairs there, and again, they were a little bit more expensive than the regular tickets, but we knew it would be a guaranteed spot we could sit and see. But I actually didn't know what it came with. It wasn't like a huge deal, but they were considered like the VIP area.
Those VIP porta potty was very nice and very air conditioned, so
yeah, so we
kind of made it worth it.
Got the fancy private bathrooms. There was a couch seating area off to the side of the stage.
That was shaded.
Yeah, I was actually hoping some of the bands would come back there and hang out, but they did not. But there was, other fans and whatnot. We had our own bar.
Our own bar, yep. They had lots of cold ice.
Yeah, so in between each of the sets, we could just walk away from our seats. Not have to worry about anybody taking our spots, of course, and we could go to the VIP area and sit down on the couches. I don't know that I would do that again. It was
different.
It was something to experience once.
Yeah, I think maybe. Depends on who's playing, how many opening bands I think there are.
Yeah,
make a difference.
I appreciated that we could see really well the whole concert. Now, I will say, had there been people sitting at the tables in front of us, we would not have had a good view. Because if they would have stood up, they would have been equal to us, and we would have had to watch through them. And that did happen toward the end of Andrew's set.
It was like the last song.
The majority of the concert, we were real fortunate. But yeah, so we watched him from about 5 rows back in Cincy, kind of a slight level above the main level crowd. Elevated above the crowd in Columbus. But the outdoors, I think, was really made it more special, I think. Also, what made it more special is just the fact that Andrew played last in Columbus.
Yes.
It's so much more exciting when, and I talked about this
such a great closer.
Yeah, I talked about this on the Hands Down episode with Stephanie and Charlie, and I told them that I prefer my band, or the band that I came to see most, to be the last one, just because it's the excitement of a closer. Being in the dark out for the outside venue, I thought was, part of the charm of that whole thing. So I think it would have felt a lot different, and it did in Cincinnati. It felt a lot different to watch the band we were most excited about and then kind of go sit down and just relax while Dashboard played.
Definitely felt different. And I think I like the Columbus show a lot more, and I think that's a major reason why.
Yeah.
One, that it was outside. Two, that Andrew closed. It was in Columbus, and I like Columbus.
I think I like the Cincinnati show better. I'm not real sure, though. But I think I liked the set a little bit better. We'll talk about the songs he played. But I think the vibe, but I think a lot of that had to do with being down in the crowd. I think there's an energy that you feel when you're down in the crowd, whereas when we went up to the balcony for Dashboard in Cincinnati and when we were kind of away from the crowd in that VIP area in Columbus, it just felt like we were a little bit outside of it.
I don't know. Maybe it goes back to you knew what the set list was already at Columbus, too.
And that's probably it, too, yeah. But he did throw some surprises at us.
I don't know. The indoor one, I kept thinking the whole time, like, are we all getting COVID right now? Are we all getting COVID right now?
And I guess some people did get COVID from
That
that
was
show.
just all that kept running through my head.
Yeah, it did occur to me at some point. But let's talk a little bit about Dashboard. I know Marcy's not too interested in talking Dashboard, but we'll talk through it because...
I've thought about my favorite moments of Dashboard.
Oh, you did?
I've thought about it.
Great, so you have some favorite moments.
Yeah, I do.
I didn't even ask you to come up with favorite moments of Dashboard.
I know. You're welcome.
Well,
it's none of the songs, but I got favorite parts.
As I mentioned earlier, I was pleasantly surprised. Like I said, I've seen Dashboard before. I knew what to expect, and I like Dashboard Confessional, but I forgot how much I like Dashboard Confessional. And the thing is, I did actually, so I knew more about Dashboard's set than Andrew's set going into the first show, because Dashboard Confessional had played on Lollapalooza, and they live streamed it on Hulu the week before. And I happened to catch the whole thing.
Oh, yeah, because I said, I think I know this song, and then you're like, because I was singing it in the living room last week.
Yeah, and
I was like, oh, that's why.
They played pretty much the same set at Lollapalooza, maybe with a few extra songs at our Cincinnati and Columbus shows. It was neat because, again, I kind of needed the refresher for Dashboard. Dashboard Confessional is not a band that I listen to weekly like Andrew McMahon or other bands that are in my current rotation. They're an occasional. I really enjoyed their last two albums. They released an album in either 2017 or 2018, and then another one, I think this year. I really liked them both a lot. But I had heard that this was going to be a nostalgia tour, but I didn't realize they were going to play all old stuff. And when I say all old stuff, I mean they played the hits, but they also played most of the first two albums. But it was a good performance. I understand why, Dashboard fans really like the sound and the energy and what he does what they do on stage. Yeah, it was mostly acoustic, and there were times when Chris Carrabba, it was just him out there with a guitar. Like he opened the set that way, and he did one in the middle of the set before the band came out and did their final song together at both places. So now there was an exception to not playing any new stuff. For whatever reason, at the Cincinnati show, they didn't play anything that was made in the last 14 years. At the Columbus show, they actually played two songs that were newer, one off of the album from a few years ago and one off of this year's album. And I don't know about the other Dashboard fans or Andrew fans or whatever, but I appreciated that. One, that it was something different from what he'd played at the other show. But plus, again, I wanted to hear some of the new stuff that I'd never heard live before. They definitely played some of my favorite songs off of those first two albums. And those had to be my top songs of the sets. I mean, both nights. I'm going to name 3 songs off of those first couple albums that I just love, that every time I hear them, I've got to sing along in the car or whatever. The Sharp Hint of New Tears, Saints and Sailors, and Again and Go Unnoticed. I mean, those songs, again, I forgot how much I love those songs. In fact, I listened to the whole first 2 Dashboard albums on a road trip over this past weekend after the concerts. I actually really missed them, and I didn't realize it. But I also really liked when they played Vindicated, which is one of their singles. And again, I don't remember liking that song as much as I did until I saw it in concert. So that's more of a rock song for those of you who aren't that familiar with Dashboard.
I feel like you're talking just to me right now. I was there. I listened to
It's from the Spider-Man soundtrack, the original Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
Yeah, he made comments about that.
He made reference to that both times. I'll say it again. I was pleasantly surprised. I like the female backing vocalist, but I don't feel like I heard her most of the time.
Yeah, she was just walking around at times. That was
I would have liked to hear her more, actually. I would have loved to hear more of her because she had a nice voice when I did hear it, but she wasn't as involved in as I expected her to be, I guess. So I would say those moments, like the sing-along part of Saints and Sailors, and then Again I Go Unnoticed was more of the rock version from the second album with all the instruments. Singing along to Vindicated, and then Sharp Hint of New Tears is just a classic. I mean, it's classic Dashboard. So those are my favorite moments. You said you actually had favorite moments of when Dashboard was on stage?
I did.
Okay.
So on the bass drum, isn't that the big circle one?
Yeah.
So the bass drum, it was a mirror. That's what it looked like, a mirror from where we were. Now we were sitting up really high.
In the balcony.
Right, in the balcony. But it was reflecting the people that were in the front 2 rows. But when he hit it, it vibrated and it looked super cool. And it helps keep me engaged throughout the performance.
Yeah, because we could see whatever girl was standing in the front row,
Yes.
it might have been someone we knew.
It could have been.
Could have been, yeah, but it was a girl's face in there, but you couldn't really see the person clearly, and it would just kind of vibrate, and then it would
It looked
come back.
really cool. Like,
Yeah.
oh, that's awesome. So
Yeah.
that was one of my favorite parts.
Yeah.
And then my other one was he really likes to do where he spins the guitar like around his body. I feel like there's probably a fancy band type name for that.
I don't know if there's a technical term, but there might be.
Well, anyways, but our youngest likes to do that with her purse when she carries around and act like it's a guitar. So that was also one of my favorite parts. Third was when Andrew came out and sang a song with him. It was also like my biggest letdown of it too. So it was kind of like
Why was it a letdown?
I was expecting a lot more. Andrew came out and was super excited. I feel like we were all really excited. And then he sang
One
couple.
verse.
Yeah.
One verse.
And then left the stage. And I was like, I thought they were going to look like they were having a good time together, which I've seen somebody else's pictures and it looked like they interacted more. But
yeah, from the pictures, I really expected that they were going to do more together.
It felt almost like hey, we're going to play this song tonight. Do you want to walk out during it? Sure. And it's like somebody's like over on the side and I like wave you over and you come out and sing a song and then I like shooed you back away. So I don't know. It was like one of those I was really excited about. And the beginning I was like, yes. And then I was like, what just happened?
Well, it definitely wasn't impromptu because they play that Cure cover every night, just like Heaven.
I know it wasn't. I just felt
and they alternate between which band actually does the Cure cover and then the opposite singer comes out for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did expect there was going to be more interaction. I agree with you there. But I really liked that. That was exciting. I actually, probably for the reason of liking one band a little bit better than the other, I preferred when the Wilderness did it in Columbus. So they actually did the Cure cover while they were headlining, and Chris Carrabba came out and sang part of it. But I do have to say Chris Carrabba sings that song better than Andrew. I don't record too much at a concert. I usually just record little segments like 30 seconds, 45 seconds of songs. But I did record the full song of Just Like Heaven from Columbus when the Wilderness played it and Chris Carrabba joined them. And I was impressed with how well Chris Carrabba can sing like Robert Smith of The Cure. That's kind of right in his zone. So I liked it. But it was also cool to hear Andrew McMahon and the Wilderness cover a song that I had never heard them cover before this tour. So
it was an interesting choice.
You know what's really interesting about that choice is today.
That it was an interesting choice.
So I mentioned earlier that I watched a concert from earlier this year on YouTube. Somebody recorded the whole thing, and it was just Andrew on a piano. And someone shouted out play a cover, play The Cure. And that was back in May. So it's interesting. Like, I don't know if one caused the other, like the suggestion, or maybe Andrew had implied that he was going to cover The Cure at some point, and that's why that guy said that.
Or maybe he's done it at some point before.
Yeah, maybe he's done this song, and I just didn't know it. I mean, I've never looked back on Setlist FM to find out if they've done Just Like Heaven before, and maybe they have, and I just wasn't aware of it. All right, so let's move on to the Andrew McMahon set. So they open the show with Bruised.
I was surprised.
Yeah, do you remember what I said about Bruised after Cincinnati?
No,
Refresh
my memory.
I didn't really feel the energy during that song like I usually do at the beginning of a concert.
I didn't feel it in Cincinnati, but I felt it at Columbus. But again, I feel like it was the whole Andrew closing versus being in the middle.
I like that song. I'm fine hearing it in concert, but it didn't feel like the right opener for whatever reason. But I tell you what did feel right is, so as they ended Bruised, and I was kind of like, okay, High Dive started. And oh my gosh, I got chills. And I don't always get chills at concerts. I don't always get chills at Andrew concerts. But I definitely got chills when they started playing High Dive and that whole song. Again, it was one of those moments is like, wow, is High Dive one of my favorite Andrew songs? Because they played it in the fall on the Rock Boat, and they played it in Pontiac last year. And every time they play it, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I love this song. And I think it's probably one of those songs, I like it on the album a lot. I think it might be one of those songs I like better in concert than I do on the album.
I think it's like Synesthesia. I like it much better live. Not much better, but I like it better live.
Yeah, I don't feel that way about Synesthesia, but I do about High Dive. So the set consisted of, like we said earlier, a lot of songs that he plays a lot. The mixtape sometimes finds its way into the sets more frequently lately, actually, since they did the 15 Years in Transit back in 2020. And I gotta say, I feel similarly about that one. I love that song on the album. I mean, no doubt about it. It's one of my favorite Jack's Mannequin songs. But when they played the mixtape in Cincinnati, I just loved it. That one gave me chills as well. The whole band's rocking out. Andrew gets up on the piano during that song almost every time. I think he usually jumps off the piano during that song. There's so much energy, and it's such a singable song, but it's also like loud and fast. So a lot of Andrew's stuff, especially nowadays, but like a lot of it in general is not pop punk, but stuff like that. And I Woke Up in a Car, Holiday from Real even, and Hurricane, those remind me of like my pop punk and Warped Tour days and that sort of thing. So I just love reliving that with the mixtape. That was definitely a highlight for me. They also played a couple of songs in Cincinnati that were different from a couple of the ones they played in Columbus. So of the ones that switched, which did you prefer?
Well, I really like Holiday from Real, so it would have been fine if he played that one at both.
I was actually disappointed they didn't play Holiday from Real again because, again,
Yeah.
that's another one of my favorite Jack's Mannequin songs. Like, I don't really ever want that left off the set list.
Right. Was the only other one that was different She Paints Me Blue?
Yeah, they played
and
Me
Me
and
and the
Me and the
Moon.
Moon in Columbus instead of She Paints Me Blue.
I mean, neither of those are like my top ones, so I guess I didn't really feel strongly one way or the other if they were going to pick one of those.
I really love both of those songs, and it would actually be hard for me to choose between the two. So
I mean,
I
we
was
could see the moon when we were at Columbus, so
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah, so that
it
made
was
sense
more
for the
fitting.
maybe he's only playing it at the outdoor venues. That actually makes sense. But I love those songs pretty equally on a very amazing album in my opinion. It is one of those moments also that I kind of wouldn't mind hearing a deeper cut off of North because I love that album so much, and I've already heard those two songs the last couple of years. But again, I'm satisfied because I like those songs a lot. So the other one's hard. So we mentioned Holiday from Real in Cincinnati. He replaced that one with The Resolution in Columbus.
Right.
The Resolution's a great song. I mean, excellent song. And it's a crowd pleaser. It means a lot to him. The lyrics are great and very singable, very exciting. But I love Holiday from Real so much.
Yeah. I would have rather taken Me and the Moon out and put Holiday from Real there, but it's all right. He played Ohio, so.
I heard a story that he was supposed to play
Like, that's
Ohio.
the start of a song. I heard a story.
He was supposed to play Ohio in all three Ohio dates, which would make sense. What, they didn't practice enough?
He said, like, they forgot to play Ohio when they're in Cleveland.
I thought I read they forgot to, like, rehearse it beforehand.
Maybe that's what.
Okay.
But I feel like in Cincinnati, he said something about it.
Yeah.
And it was more like they forgot to play it, but I'm sure there was more to it.
Yeah. Maybe I read that on in Camp Wilderness or something. But, yeah, they forgot to rehearse it, I think, or forgot to play it or something in Cleveland on Friday night. So they played it in Cincinnati on Saturday and then in Columbus on Sunday or on Monday night. So we got to see it twice, which just worked out perfectly for us because I think you would have been really disappointed if you didn't hear Ohio at a concert at this point.
I don't know if I would have been disappointed, but it's definitely one of my favorites. But I know it's probably not everybody's favorite either, so.
I think we have this expectation living in Ohio that he's going to play it every time. We're probably
Well,
right at
I
this
feel
point.
like it's kind of like synesthesia. I feel like it's being played more and more at his concerts, that it's becoming more regular. But then again, we see him mainly in Michigan and Ohio, so.
He played it on the Rock Boat too, though.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
Because remember, Morgan said, "Gonna get it right." I love that part.
Oh my gosh, I feel like you're gonna record that and like make it my ringtone when I wake up in the morning.
I don't normally sing on this podcast, so this is quite a treat, by the way. Hurricane by Something Corporate. Did you know that song before he played it?
I know the chorus and I know the sound of the song, but I don't know it to the level I know most of the other songs that he plays.
Well, it is definitely a Something Corporate classic. I mean, it's if you ask current Andrew fan or not, if you ask a Something Corporate fan from 2000 to 2005, that is going to be one of the top songs somebody lists. Or like, what do you remember about Something Corporate? Hurricane is one of them. But ironically, as we all know, or most of us know, it was a song written by the guitarist, not by Andrew. So it's not really it's not really Andrew's song, but he played piano and he sang on it. So in a way, it's partly his, but he didn't write the song. I was happy to hear that one. I thought that was a really energetic part, and that was honestly probably one of the highlights of the show for me. Just because I like those deep, well, we wouldn't have called it a deep cut 15 years ago because they probably played it at every Something Corporate show.
You and your deep cuts. I think I want to at some point like do a search of like all like if there's a printout or a computer can like search through all your podcasts and see how many times you've said deep,
certain words.
Deep cut.
Oh, I'm sure there's words I've said more.
Gem, yeah.
Particularly.
Yeah.
What'd you think about the new song, Stars? So they played a new song that I don't think they'd introduced at all until this tour.
Yeah, I really liked it. I think it was really built up to. They dropped the backdrop that had the AMW symbol on it, and it was all black with white lights coming through.
The lights came out like mid-song. The lights came on.
So, I mean, there's a lot of build up. There's a lot of exciting things to help you remember the song. Like, that's the song. Like, Andrew had a cape that was all colorful and lit up on
LED light or like rainbow LED lights.
So I definitely think they did things during the song on purpose to help make it stick out to you for when you were thinking back to everything you saw. But I did really like it. I mean, I want to listen to it a couple more times, but
yeah,
I thought it was really good.
I liked it a lot. I kind of get the vibe they're going for in this new album just based on the clips I've heard on Camp Wilderness that he's posted. They had played another song earlier this year called Smoke and Mirrors, and I'm kind of getting the vibe they're going for. And plus the fact that Tommy English is involved in the new album, I'm assuming it's going to be more like Zombies on Broadway, and I'm good with that. It's maybe going to be more pop-oriented, but it definitely seems like you said something about it. It seemed like it was a good song for him to come out in the crowd during.
Yeah, because we were talking about, he did play Island Radio, and of course that's the song that he usually comes out in the audience for, but it's one of those songs I think he can leave his piano for a while. Mm-hmm. And the Stars song reminded me kind of that same thing where like he can leave the piano for a while. Mm-hmm. So part of me was like, is this the song so they're not always playing Island Radio, that will be one they can do some of the fun things.
I agree, because they do play Island Radio at most every show the last few years, and I think it's because it gives them the flexibility to move around the crowd.
Right, because I mean, if you're playing outside and it's nighttime, you go out in the crowd and you sing Stars while you're under the stars.
Yeah, and he's known for playing summer concerts outdoors. So I think it's going to be. So I think it was intentional to kind of bring that song to the tour. But I like it, and I'm really looking forward to hearing the album version, which is coming out actually in just a couple of days. So we'll have it an actual album version this week.
Will be a couple days by the time you get this out?
It might already be out by the time this is posted. Okay. So depending on how long it takes to get it out.
What's the date? Maybe you should just say the date.
Yeah. So if it's August 17th or later, you can get on any of the streaming services and listen to Stars by Andrew McMahon in the Wilderness, and we'll be listening too.
So can we talk about my least two favorite songs that he played? So, and it was actually interesting. They're like grouped together. I normally really like this song. I didn't like the version that he did of it, and I know you did.
Well, I appreciate that it was different. I'm not saying I preferred it over another.
Okay, so it was Punk Rock Princess.
Yeah, all acoustic.
All acoustic,
full band.
A little bit slower.
Yeah, it was just different because I've heard him play it on piano by himself. You know, it was known as Heroin 20 years ago. And then we've heard the rock version of it for years, both on the album and in concerts. But they played like a slower acoustic version full band.
Well, I think if they didn't play Constantine in the same show, which is another slower song, I would have felt differently about the Punk Rock Princess version that they did. Mm-hmm. I think because it was also with Constantine, I didn't get the feel for it that I feel like I should have.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that because I'm looking at the set list right here, and Constantine came right after Punk Rock Princess.
Right.
It's almost like they were slowing it down and kind of getting everybody ready for the anticipation of a slow 9-minute song. I don't know what the intent with the, you'd think you'd mix up the slower songs a little bit more. I really like Andrew McMahon ballads. So, and Stars wasn't in a completely different place. It was only a couple songs after those.
Right.
And Stars is kind of a ballad, but it's like a singable that gets loud type of ballad.
Yeah.
So it's not like a Constantine type of ballad or some of the other ballads that we know Andrew does that is very like quiet and just a piano and sort of thing.
Yeah. And then to Constantine, I'm still on that I would have rather. I'm still on that I would have rather heard 3 Andrew songs versus listen to Constantine. But that's probably also because I've now heard it 3 times in a year.
Yeah, and I know there's other fans that feel that way, but I'm not one of them.
I know. And there was also many other people that were totally into it and very excited.
There was people crying, singing, like holding each other. Like that was a special moment for a lot of people who have the history and nostalgia with it. That's something that you don't have with it, and that's okay. But people who have known that song for half their lives or more, and and the lyrics meant something to them as they were growing up, like a lot of Andrew songs for us, right? And so I see why he did it. It's a nostalgia tour. Could he have squeezed 3 more songs in there? Maybe 2.
Okay, I still would go for 2. Because I also know we're probably hearing it a 4th time this year.
Yeah, that's true. So we'll come back to that.
Yeah.
Are there 2 songs that you feel like were left out that you would have liked to hear instead of Constantine?
Well, at the one show, Holiday from Real, and at the other show, Resolution. For sure.
So you would have liked him to just add those
Yeah.
onto the opposite shows. Okay.
Lights and Buzz, because I actually know the name of it now after 5 years. Teenage Rock Stars, Walking in My Sleep, even New Year song. I would have taken some New Year song.
Yeah. House in the Trees would have been a good one too. I've seen that recently a couple of times, but I always like to hear that one. I would have liked to hear Paper Rain again. I know you're not a fan of that one, but I really like Paper Rain, and I feel like that could have been a good energetic song to play. But overall, I was happy with the set list. I mean, I really can't complain. It had the couple of things that we don't normally get to hear. It had all the songs that you'd expect him to play because he plays them every time.
Well, we didn't talk about those 2.
Which ones?
Cecilia and Fire Escape.
And Dark Blue.
And Dark Blue, we kind of
Yeah,
missed those.
we kind of glazed over.
We did, but Cecilia and the Satellite, we did get a special treat during.
Yeah, that was one of the highlights of the Cincinnati show for me.
Yeah. He played, one verse of the song probably?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one whole verse.
And then we had found out that day, Cecilia and Kelly had flown in that day, and Cecilia came out during the song.
Yep, and she sang the whole second verse, actually the rest of the song with him, and then he put her up on the piano, and she got to step on the piano like he normally does.
Yeah, he did. He helped hold her up there, though.
Yeah, and then brought her back down, and they hugged, and it was such a great father-daughter moment. And I think for all us parents out there, that's especially special to see that relationship that that they have together. So, but that was one of the highlights of the Cincinnati show. And what was funny though about that moment is so when he started Cecilia and the Satellite in Columbus, I was kind of like, I felt like I would have been disappointed if Cecilia didn't come out. And so now I feel like every time, and she did the same thing that we just said, but in Columbus as well. But I feel like next time I see them and they play Cecilia, I'm going to be expecting Cecilia to come out. And if she doesn't, I'm going to be disappointed now. Because it was such a special moment.
Right. Well, I'm pretty sure, the person beside me started talking to me. And when she found out we were at the Cincinnati show, every time a song would start, she would be like, oh, what song's this? And I'd tell her the name. And during that one, I was like, oh, there's a surprise during it. So, I think, she kept talking to me
That's right, because she was looking at you, and then she looked, and you were, looking, and then she looked, and she was like, oh, my gosh.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
she must like to know what the song is that's coming, because she kept asking me.
Apparently. I always like to hear Fire Escape and Dark Blue, though. I mean, those were toward the end of the set, like they should be, and
Right.
Synesthesia. Those are all great classic Andrew songs that, obviously he wrote and he loves to play, and the fans love for him to play it. So it makes sense for those songs to be in the set. Synesthesia was an interesting choice for a closer, though. We talked about that a little bit already, but one of the highlights of the show for me.
Yeah, I agree. It was beautiful. There's so many colors projected on the stage.
That was the highlight.
It
was the view. It was like, wow, this looks amazing. Like, I loved the Stars thing during Stars. Just a couple songs later, they were playing Synesthesia, and all the color lights came on.
Well, I also think it's because it was after dark blue you noticed all the colors because everything they changed to blue during dark blue.
Hmm.
So then when it changes from that darker blue color to all those colors,
But the crowd looked so cool, both when we were in the crowd and when we were above the crowd at the Columbus show. It was so neat to see those lights on the crowd and what that looked like. So
yeah.
it had made me wish, actually, when I saw that at the end, I wish they would have had those color lights on the whole show.
But
But I
then
get
it wouldn't have had the
it wouldn't have had the impact,
yeah.
yeah. He did crowd surf in Columbus. He went out to the lawn during synesthesia, and then he crowd surfed back to the stage. And I remember thinking, is he going to make it back to the stage by the time he has to finish the song?
It was close, but he
Yeah,
did.
it was close, but so, I don't know. The guy has it timed. Obviously, he's been doing this a while.
I don't
but
know though. I saw in a recent show somebody posted a video where he fell off of
The llama?
the llama, so I
Yeah.
don't know how the timing on that one worked out.
Yeah, he is
but-
riding a llama now, no longer a rubber duck for now.
Right.
But
There is handles on the side, I noticed too.
yeah. But some have been some fans have speculated that it's not as stable as the duck because
It doesn't
he's
look
fallen
like
off
it.
twice now.
Yeah. I don't know. It doesn't look as round maybe. It looks maybe it's longer than
Uh-huh.
wide, so maybe he had the handles added to try to stay on better. I don't know.
He might have to trade it in for the next tour. I don't know.
Right.
There were a lot of great moments. I would put, hearing High Dive and the mixtape up there. I'd say Constantine was near the top, but not quite top 3 for me. But Cecilia coming out for the
Definitely.
song was up
Stars, the new song.
there. Yeah, and
I think especially because we got to hear it twice. So like the first time you hear it, you're just trying to like get a grasp on like what the sound really
Mhm.
is and where he's going with it. But then we got to hear it again 2 nights later. So I think we already had gotten through that initial part.
yeah, we
so
could
got
sing
to
along.
We got to enjoy it and sing along to it.
Yeah.
So.
And it was pretty cool. They said everybody put your cell phone up and wave your flashlight on your cell phone, and that looked pretty cool.
Yeah.
I gotta say. So after the shows at both of them, we did try to stay after and meet the band. We were somewhat successful in Cincinnati.
Well, we saw all of them except for Andrew. He had told people earlier that he probably would not come out since Cecilia and Kelly had just gotten there.
Yeah, I think he told people at VIP
Yeah.
that he would the meet and greet that he would not be out. So we kind of sort of expected that, but we were still hopeful because their tour bus was parked between the venue and on the sidewalk near the sidewalk
Yeah.
between the venue and the road. So it's like we were just standing out there. So Zach came out first, and then Mikey, Jay, and Bobby came out, and it was nice. They dropped their stuff off in the van, and then they came back out and actually talked to anybody who wanted to talk to them. So I talked to Mikey for just a few moments because I think he's so talented, and I love what he brings to the band, and I wanted to let him know that. But I didn't do the whole like get pictures with them or anything or talk to them about too much. It was just kind of cool to see them so open to interacting with fans and just understanding that relationship between fan and artist. And I know usually Andrew's in that mindset as well, and I completely understand having his family there.
Oh, yeah.
Why he wouldn't have come out. But we did wait outside in Columbus for any of the guys to come out, and they never did. But it was kind of a weird setup in the way that the vans were parked inside of the venue gates.
Yeah.
And then we were outside of it. So they never came out, and they didn't have a reason to walk by or anything.
Right.
So they would have been going out of their way, and we heard they were having a little pizza party back there. So
Right.
that's what the security guy told us. He was like, "Oh, they're eating pizza right now." We're like, "Okay, well, we're not going to bother them then." But there was quite a line kind of just waiting, but they didn't end up coming out. So we didn't meet Andrew this time around, but again, we did get to interact with some other members of the band a little bit. So and that was again outside of the Cincinnati venue is where Zach once again complimented me on that shirt.
Like this was the highlight of your month. Like,
No, it was just really he seemed really impressed. He was like, "Man, that is such a cool shirt." And so that's
except
why
for I could never see him wearing. I don't
no,
know.
I
can't.
didn't think he was going to go buy one.
I can't
but
envision him in just a t-shirt. Like he has always has such a elaborate.
He wears white t-shirts.
I don't
Just
feel
plain
like
white
I ever
t-shirts.
see him. Just...
Yeah, or pink t-shirts.
Well, I think there's layers on top,
So.
or that pink jacket.
But yeah, we ended up going out to dinner, as I think we mentioned earlier, a very late dinner with some people from the We Are the Pop Underground group, which was great. It's just nice, hanging out with people who like an artist as much as you do, and being able to, especially on the night of, and talk about the concert. I've gone to a lot of concerts alone, and then I've driven home alone, and I've been okay with that. But there's something to be said about experiencing a concert with a group of people, just afterward all coming together and talking about our experience together of seeing that show. And for one of them, it was their 30th show, and another one, it was their 50th show.
I'm a long way away.
I don't know if I'll ever hit 50. That's pretty impressive, but I think I'll hit 20 pretty soon.
So what's next?
Well, we were so excited after the concerts that what did we do on Wednesday morning after the last show we just saw?
We booked tickets to the Dear Jack. And we're taking our kids. They don't know that yet. We're going to Chicago.
It's a secret, so for the kids, it's a surprise.
We're making a whole weekend out of it.
Yep, so we're doing a Chicago long weekend, and we are taking them to the benefit. It did say that you had to be 17 years of age or older.
Oh my gosh, I've never talked to a concert venue so many times between you calling them and me emailing with them and Facebook messaging with them.
Yeah, we had to clarify that our kids could, in fact, go, and we found out they could.
Right,
as
so
long
it
as they were
started,
with a parent.
I asked what the VIP options were and made it perfectly clear what ages our kids were.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, here's the cost, blah, blah, blah. Well, then we went to book the tickets. We're like, okay, we're not going to do the whole VIP thing. It's really expensive. We went to book the tickets, and it said 17 and under, not, or only 18 and over. What? I don't know how it worded it. So then we were like, oh. I'm like, but then I was thinking, why would they have let me book these VIP things knowing the age of our kids? So it was a whole ordeal. But we got the tickets.
Well, what was funny is the way we ordered the tickets. So we ordered one ticket in the morning saying, well, I guess we'll just go to Chicago and I'll just go to the show. Obviously, we were both really wanting to go, but someone would have to stay with the kids. And then we finally got clarification from House of Blues and Dear Jack. I actually chatted with somebody from the Dear Jack Foundation as well, right, which pointed me to House of Blues, and found out, well, they can go. So then we ordered 3 more tickets. Right. Fortunately, we had the pre-sale code from Camp Wilderness because we're subscribers, and that got us that in before it actually sold out, because we found out, I think by Friday night, it had sold out.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for anybody who did not get tickets, but the 4 of us are going, and we're really excited because it'll be our kids' first real concert.
Yeah.
I hope they can't hear me.
They've been to Kids Bop, but that's it. So.
Yeah.
And they keep asking when we go to these concerts, when do we get to go to a concert with you? So.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're not sure how we're gonna surprise them with that. But other things upcoming is I just heard a rumor, and I think it's confirmed by Andrew, that they're going to release an album. The Wilderness is going to release an album next March, is what I'm hearing, with a couple more singles to come in the fall before then. So maybe another single before Dear Jack, and then who knows, maybe another one after that before the drop of the album. So that's pretty exciting stuff. We'll have a lot more to talk about on here, obviously, when they release a new album. Not that I don't have plenty of songs to talk already.
Right,
but
you have so much.
Yeah.
List just keeps building.
Yeah, but again, I want to thank Marcy for being on the show again. I had a lot of fun at the concerts. I hope you did too.
I did too.
It was good couple of nights out. I really appreciate all of you listening and giving us a chance to share our experience with you. And I hope you get a chance to go to one of the shows. I just found out today they're going to be live streaming a couple of the shows at the end of the month. So if you're in an area where he's not coming to, I do highly recommend that live stream, because I've paid for live streams of Andrew's several times now, and I'm never disappointed. Every time, I'm rocking out in the living room or the basement. I might even do it this time, add 2 more shows.
And the Dear Jack fundraising has started. So if you feel driven to donate to the cause, they're definitely in that fundraising now. We know lots of groups that are competing with each other in the a friendly way, camaraderie to raise money for the Dear Jack Foundation. But now's a really great time if you want to donate anything for that. Yeah,
it just kicked off this week, and there's some great T-shirts and stickers out there and other kind of things that you can get that they're creating. A lot of people are creating some great things, and then some people are auctioning off other older T-shirts or vinyl albums or collectibles, things like that. So
I kind of want one of the hip packs that were given out at VIPs, I heard. So I might have to make a bid.
There is one of those for bid right now. Yeah, check it out on all the socials. I'll tell you what, I'll post a link to the show notes of this episode for where you can find all the teams that are working to benefit the Dear Jack Foundation this year. So. Have a great night, and again, I hope you get to go to a show soon.
Me too. It's about as hot in here right now as it was at the Columbus show, so I think it's time to sign off.
We had to make this experience similar to kind of get in the mindset.
Well, I have a good drink, but yeah, I'm in my pajamas, not in a pair of shorts and a tank top.
Good night.